Ladies and gentlemen, we're here.
I'm part of the Kliq, isn't everybody?
Yes! 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 I got an idea, yeah. Beat up John Cena!
Give me a hell yeah!
Oh, a little bit of the bubbly.
Too sweet! Here goes the mother! This is where the power lies!
I am the man.
We need if you can survive!
It's showtime, folks!
The following episode is scheduled for one fall, and it is for your listening pleasure. This is In The Kliq.
What's up, everybody? Baby Huey here, and literally, I feel like Danny Tanner because it is a full house tonight. So sitting right next to me in the Delmore Casa is my brother Tommy. How's it going?
I am doing good. How you doing?
And joining us once again early in the week, this version of In The Kliq from the Fight Game Podcast is John LaRocca. How's it going, man?
It's going good. Thanks for having me back on.
And look at this. Look who we have here. So, I was going to try to go Enzo or something. What do we got over here?
Yeah.
Look at this. Look at this. Join us also for tonight's episode of In The Kliq from the Bulletcast, my good brother, Philip. How's it going, man?
Huey, it's Tuesday night. I'm still one half of the current reigning Bulletcast champions. I'm doing great, man. You already know.
Do we still talk about that championship still?
Hey, but it's even more prestigious now, given what happened last night. Like to think he and I are champion at the same time, it's a great feeling.
Is the belt going to be on the line this weekend for Revolution?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I'm
the leader of the podcast. Revolution has to be.
Oh my God. So it's, but like I said, not only do I feel like Danny Tanner at Full House, but also it's, like my world's colliding right now between all, I like how big the Kliq family has gotten over the last 6-7 months now with the podcast. So yeah, Tommy, comes on with Richard. We do all the WWE stuff. John, we do a lot of the other, outside WWE talk. Philip, you're my AEW guy. So it's interesting. It's a different dynamic tonight. I'm really excited for this. So
It's like a battle royal.
Oh yeah.
And I think whoever comes on top will probably be challenging for the tag team titles. That's how you do that AEW.
I was gonna say the Casino Battle Royal this weekend. What's that? Another one of those?
You know what this feels like? Like when a cable station has a lot of hit sitcoms or something, and then they do a mass crossover. That's what this feels like.
Yeah.
Totally. Or for all you superhero fans out there, it's the Arrowverse, the big crossover episode they had with Flash and
The Kliqverse.
Kliqverse, yeah.
Or
that should be a T-shirt.
the
Kliqverse.
Simpsons Family Guy crossover.
Yeah,
episode.
that too. I mean, but I love this. I was super excited just because, John, when you hit me up and technically I thought it was going to be our off week, but when you hit me up, it says you're down to record because there's other things you want to talk about. I'm like, hell yeah, of course. Then Philip, you hit me up last night and just with things that happened on Raw, you were super happy and pumped. I was like, of course. Yeah, let's talk about it. Just the more the merrier. That's the whole thing about this podcast. I want just have as many people on here having fun, talking about pro wrestling. That's why we're here, just having fun. So a lot of stuff to talk about. So let's just jump into the big news that happened 24 hours ago now. Big change in WWE and the whole landscape of things, especially Monday Night Raw. Finally, after over 16 years, I think.
17, I think.
17. Yeah. The almighty Bobby Lashley is now officially WWE champion. Defeated The Miz. Miz had an 8-day title reign. Good for him, I guess. But man, so much to talk about with that show last night. So Philip, I'll start with you, man, just because literally seconds after everything went down, it was on social media and stuff. You were hitting me up, texting me. I know for you were super happy. So no, please just tell me kind of your initial reactions from last night's results.
Lashley. No, I'm not going to do the whole thing, but hey, man, like I'm super happy for the dude. Like, just as a fan of pro wrestling, like watching him back in WWE back in the day when he was like ECW champion and being a badass. I'm like, oh, maybe he'll be WWE champion one day. Then he goes to TNA, has that awesome run, and then for it to finally culminate, for him to finally become the world champion. As a fan, I'm super happy. As a black man, you already know I'm ecstatic because we've only had 3. Rock, Kofi, and then Lashley, and I thought I'd be more emotional when Lashley got it. I mean, I was pretty emotional for Kofi, but I probably because I had it spoiled for me. But hey, man, like this is what's up. I mean, to really look at it, look at 2020. MVP came back as a random entrant in the Royal Rumble. Like Cedric wasn't on TV. Shelton was just smiling. Lashley was in that weird thing with Lana, and to look where we are now. Like tag team championships, a U.S. title run real quick, and now the world title run, man. Her business is booming.
It is, absolutely. And by the way, MVP, we'll say former Universal Champion for APW, so shout out APW as well. But now, John, for yourself, it's it's been really interesting the last 8+ days now with the Elimination Chamber, the fallout from that on last week's Raw, and the build up to this week's episode. So for you, just your thoughts on seeing Bobby Lashley finally win the number 1 title in all of pro wrestling in the world, or I guess in WWE's mind, sports entertainment.
Yeah, well, it seems like that's what they were going for when they did the Miz cashing in and the agreement and the drama leading to the title change. So I thought that was really well done. A lot of people freaking out online when the Miz won it. Which I could understand because I'm like, well, don't they kind of see what is going on over there? Like, don't they see what they're going to do? It seems obviously that they're going to get to Lashley and Drew's going to chase. I just wish, God, because Lashley's been on this other level, his performance, he's really just dialing down his character. His ring work's tremendous. Like, I just wish, God, they could have pulled the trigger earlier and had won the title, let this chase be a little longer for Drew into WrestleMania. Because part of me wants, God, WrestleMania is what, 6 weeks away now? Or 6 weeks away, whatever it is? Yeah. So kind of like, wow, man, Bobby, I want to see him hold it for a little longer. And maybe he will. Maybe something does happen where he does retain the title. Maybe you don't need to change both titles at WrestleMania. Maybe Edge wins the title from Roman and Lashley could sneak away with the title and continue that chase. Drew had it for a whole year almost, so. Yeah,
so I'm glad you brought that up because I think a lot of people are happy to see him win. So now it's like, okay, the dust is settled. Looking ahead, all right, what's next for the storylines for WWE specifically? I know we got Fastlane to worry about, but more specifically, bigger picture WrestleMania. And I think a lot of people are anticipating maybe Drew versus Bobby, maybe night 1 of the main event for WrestleMania. And so hypothetically, I think WrestleManias, they like to end on a happy note and a babyface winning. With that being said, they got 2 nights now, so maybe a heel can win one night and babyface win another night. So now with that being said, is it Edge going to win as a babyface, or maybe Drew gets back the title at Mania as well? Is that yet to be seen? But you brought up a good point. It is like, okay, let's just say Drew wins back the title. I do feel a little bit bad for Bobby Lashley. It's such a short title reign, 6 weeks roughly. I mean, obviously not as short as the Miz here, but Miz will get into more of his role as the transitional champion. But yeah, it makes you wonder, should they pull the trigger a little bit sooner? They had the opportunity, even going back to December, when Miz had the Money in the Bank and got involved with AJ and Drew. It almost makes me wonder, maybe they should have had Miz win the title in December after TLC or at TLC, and then do the whole storyline that they're doing with the Hurt Business back then, maybe in 2020 with Bobby Lashley as the WWE champion, and then these next few months building up for Drew and him at WrestleMania. So that way Bobby has more of a longer title reign. But that's yet to be seen. For all we know, yeah, Bobby could easily just retain at WrestleMania, and Drew still goes on this long journey. And then, Philip, last night you and I were texting. You have some ideas that maybe what could be set up for SummerSlam.
Yeah, man. I mean, the match that people have wanted to see for quite some time, especially since Lashley returned, was him versus Brock. And for a while, it didn't look like it was going to happen. Now, I mean, he holds the top prize. You know, Lesnar, he knows that holding a championship equals more money, and it's the top prize. So those guys going after each other. And I think Lashley, if it does happen, I think he should beat him.
Really?
Yeah, I think you should beat him. Like, let's see, like, no Paul Heyman, just babyface Brock going up against monster badass Lashley and have Lashley pin him clean.
Wow, that would be interesting. And hypothetically, you know, if it happens at SummerSlam, I mean, that's great because that's kind of like WrestleMania 2.0 is the way they kind of position the presentation of it. And hopefully maybe by then they'll have fans back in attendance by that point. I know the vaccines trying to make the rounds around our country here in the U.S. and stuff. So that could be an interesting possibility, but it's going to be interesting seeing where Vince and creative goes now with Bobby Lashley. I mean, I think this is such a special opportunity, and I'm very happy for him. And so where they go is really going to be interesting with the title and whatnot. So
I also think that what kind of challengers would be would have for Bobby Lashley in line if he has quite a title reign. The only guy I can think of that would be a real good challenge for him would probably be Keith Lee.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like outside of Drew, who else could be a legit threat to challenge Bobby and make it like a really compelling storyline? Yeah, Keith Lee, even though he's been kind of MIA the last few weeks on TV, so hopefully things are okay with him.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do here.
Yeah, I think because if Drew wins the title, say back at WrestleMania, what contenders does he have? I can't think of anyone that's fresh and ready to go. But if Bobby retains, there's still a Drew Chase. There's Damian Priest.
Oh yeah,
coming off probably his win with Bad Bunny. That that kind of whatever pub that is, he gets, the rub he gets from that, helps him. And
Sheamus.
Oh God, they had a great match with Drew. I mean, that's the only guy I can see Drew kind of going to a program with right away, because even though he did beat him on Raw, they kind of like it was a match where it was so hard hitting, so good that you want more from them. You want to see rematches. So I can see that happening. It's very interesting, going forward. But if it was me with Brock, though, if Brock says I'm showing back up, I'm gonna have to do Brock versus Roman, because that just seems like a natural fit with Paul Heyman and all that kind of stuff. But I see what you're saying with Lashley too. But yeah, I don't know. I just been watching Lashley the last couple weeks and thinking like, man, he's on another level right now. He's just so focused, so dialed in.
Yep.
I just hope it's not a short reign. But if it is, I'm sure they're gonna have a great match at WrestleMania no matter what.
Oh yeah.
And at the end of the day, Bobby's a champion on paper. They can never take that away from him. I know some people like to caught up with the length of title reigns, but at the end of the day, he's officially WWE champion. So that's always going to be in the record books for years to come. So let's go ahead and just talk about specifically for Monday Night Raw, the timeline of events. I actually kind of enjoyed the storytelling, the narrative that they were using over the span of 3 hours to get to this moment. So show started off with Drew when he comes out to the ring, more or less just acknowledges he wants to get back the title, wants to main event WrestleMania. Miz and Morrison interrupt him. Morrison with some weird hairdo. Like, it was like, I don't know, he's trying to do like with his long hair, a mohawk with gel.
Kind of mullet-ish. Yeah, it was weird.
He kind of looked like it was something like Brandon Crawford would go for, or something like that.
Yeah, it was just like he put some like product in his hand and was like trying to make it stand up.
He was in a suit, so maybe he wanted, business in the front, party in the back.
There you go.
It was looking like a mullet.
It was like a mullet, yeah.
Oh, man. But maybe trying to bring back Boone the Bounty Hunter, his old movie character.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, Miz as like the chicken-ass heel champion, desperate. He starts, pleading with Drew, like, hey, like, help me, help you, more or less. And John's like, was it the 3M amigos, 3M egos?
Yeah.
So anyway, they're trying to beg and like trying to get, Drew to help them. And then Sheamus comes out, interrupts, and that led to the great match between Drew and Sheamus, as you just said, just hard hitting, two big hosses going at it.
The fists were flying.
I mean, Sheamus, for a guy who's had spinal, what's the,
stenosis.
Yeah.
Stenosis, yeah.
That word. And at his older age, he's still been putting on banger matches over the last year with SmackDown, with Jeff Hardy, Riddle, and then coming over to Raw. It's been amazing with him and Drew. So kudos to him. He found a fountain of youth or something, but it's been great. So hard-hitting match, great. Drew, I like the finish. Drew and Sheamus kind of doing their finishers at the same time, but Drew just
beat him 1 second with the Claymore.
Yeah, just a little bit of a longer leg and got that leg up a little bit faster and knocked out Sheamus and got the victory there. So it was great.
That Dan Hardy, Carlos Condit fight where they both connected at the same time and Condit just got there just 1 second.
Yeah.
And so I loved it. I thought that, man, I watched this match. I'm like, dude, I'm like loving this freaking match. Like, it's like everything I love about wrestling.
Yeah.
Just they felt like they hated each other. They felt like there is a real war.
Mm-hmm.
Really physical. It was just, and that finish was perfectly timed. Like, how could they? I mean, I don't know. They just, it was perfect.
I would love to know, I mean, if they break kayfabe a little bit, just, break it down. Like, did they practice multiple times, just the timing of it? Like, okay, as soon as I jump here, you start bringing your leg up. I mean, just the inner workings of how you execute a finish like that. I mean, I'm just fascinated by that whole process. So, no, great finish. Drew retains. He wins. And then, we don't see him for the rest of the night, which is still kind of cool. Kind of keeping a little bit more mystery about what's he going to be involved with. He wasn't nowhere near the main event as well as one of the Lumberjack guys, which is great. I know he was on Talking Raw afterwards and more or less declared he wants to be in the main event of WrestleMania. So maybe a little foreshadowing what's going to come. So anyway, going back now with The Miz. So, was it Shane and Adam Pearce tell Miz, you have to defend the title at the top of the hour, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock our time here on the West Coast. And so, I liked it that there's like a timer once again, almost like Mission Impossible, or it's a ticking time bomb where it's like, it's like letting you know this match has to happen. So,
it's a countdown.
Yeah, just letting people know when to tune in. And then so at the top of the hour, 9 o'clock, Bobby Lashley comes out to the ring, and Miz and Morrison in the back, and Miz is faking more or less. He has stomach cramps and has maybe the runs or something. So, but John, it's I enjoyed the tactic of once again just being a chicken-ass heel champion. He's trying to avoid the inevitable matchup against
looking for any excuse
Lashley. And then finally Lashley comes to the back, grabs him and says, you're gonna wrestle tonight. And even though Bobby's been a heel, it's almost like I'm rooting for him.
Oh yeah,
like as a face, like he's like a badass face right here. And then later on the night, they have the second match at the top of the hour, and Miz and Lashley are in the ring. And as soon as the bell rings, Miz grabs the title, runs out, and 10 count. So Lashley wins and wins the match, but doesn't get the title. Obviously, of a DQ like that, count out. And we see Shane and Adam Pearce back there with MVP and Bobby Lashley, and MVP says, "This is bullshit." I was like, whoa. I mean, like, man, he cussed on TV, cable TV. All right.
Attitude Era all over again.
Yeah. So, I mean, John, what you think as far as like this dynamic of Miz trying to do whatever he can to avoid the matchup here?
Well, that's his character. He snaking the grass his way into this championship, and now he's going to do everything he can to hold on to it, hook up by crook. The only thing I didn't like about that match where he got counted out, I wish they would have said, like, well, he's I won by count out. They should have said, like, well, you have to touch your opponent. So the match is not official.
Yeah.
You ran out. I think something, but then again, the ref did count. So,
yeah.
I mean, that. But I just thought that was kind of weird. Like, he never touched him. So the match is still technically, that doesn't really start yet, really, technically. Even though they did ring the bell.
Yeah, and actually, John, that reminded me of something when he ran off, something that you and I talked about, I believe, last week, was kind of wish the Hurt Business, this is what you brought up last week, like the Hurt Business, the other members should have been maybe standing there to prevent The Miz from running off, kind of be like a layer of protection on behalf of Bobby Lashley. Like, we're going to be his enforcers, make sure Miz doesn't run off or try to get his way out of there. So
but I really like the idea behind the show. They have 3 hours. So 3 hours. That must be tough every week, every Monday do.
Mm-hmm.
But it worked though, ratings wise. The ratings held up for the 3 hours, so it was a success. And that was a big question about last week. Will people come back next week because they had a big rating in the post pay-per-view? Good rating. We'll see if that can carry over if this is working with Miz, and it did. People were interested to see Lashley win the title, so I thought, hey, you can't knock WWE for what they did. They accomplished what their goal was, to get that rating up for 2 straight weeks at least.
And then that's the thing they said backstage. Miz and Shane were talking, and I actually like this promo from the Miz as far as saying, like, I'm the champion WWE needs. Like, guys didn't like me before, but I know you probably prefer the big monster champion, but I'm the guy that's a reality star. I do TV, movies. I can do press at 6 a.m., which I know for sure he's done that before. I've caught him on those radio tours, so I do respect him for getting up early for doing press in the past. But I kind of enjoyed it. Like, I was kind of almost sympathizing with him a little bit because he was saying, like, I'm the champion that could represent WWE. Like, what do you expect out of Bobby Lashley? And Shane, more or less, I'm just paraphrasing. Yeah, we'll find out, hopefully, in a little bit what he can be like as champion. So Miz storms off. But, Philip, what'd you think of Miz's promo back there with Shane McMahon, that interaction? I really thought that was a good character moment for The Miz.
Yeah, man. I mean, we all know how great The Miz is at doing these promos. He really makes you buy into what he's saying. Like, even if he's being ridiculous, like he and Morrison have been over the past couple of weeks and months.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he really made you believe in him. Like, yeah, you know what? Like he does all that stuff, all the press and doing all like the no nonsense reality shows and whatnot. Like he's the guy you would want as champion. Like, just thinking of a PR move and a business move.
Yeah.
But, you got to appease your audience, and a guy that looks like Bobby Lashley walking around with the world championship, that's intriguing.
Yeah.
And kudos to them for the whole like countdown clock thing. Reminded me of those beat the clock challenges they used to do. Yeah, man, like it kept you interested. This was the most important episode of Raw in a very long time.
Yeah, because I was talking to John about this morning. I kind of like that tactic. It just reminded me, with my background, radio, it seemed like an old school radio tactic where you tell your listeners to tune in at a certain time. And maybe at that time period, if you're doing some sort of contest or giveaway, you give like a word of the day or the song of the day and what time that's going to air later in the day. So it's like a 2-parter thing. So I kind of enjoyed, they're like, okay, start of the show, 9 p.m. is going to be the Miz Lashley match. Oh, it didn't happen. Okay, tune in at 10 p.m. And so you're baiting people to keep tuning in. And then they said, all right, last opportunity to end the show, main event. And so that was for the 3rd hour. So I kind of enjoyed that just for like, from my background. I was like, oh, this is a total easy way just to bait people. Now, I know a lot of people were getting upset, be like, don't play with us. Don't do this bait and switch here. And for me, like, I anticipated, I was like, okay, if they're doing this much of an investment, hopefully there's a good payoff here. And ultimately there was, but I was a little bit worried like something was going to happen at the very end. Miz was going to sneak out one more time. And then, of course, the whole internet wrestling community would have probably exploded and been so pissed off. But so before the main event, Shane comes out, declares it a lumberjack match. Very fitting because the Miz has been running off here. So it was interesting, though. Obviously, everyone that comes out, I mean, there's guys who, I don't know, wouldn't make sense. Like Braun Strowman, him and Shane have been going at it all night. Yeah. And then Braun goes out there and helps on behalf of Shane, or his wishes. So I don't know. I was a little confused by that. So I was going to ask John, from your perspective, is Shane McMahon like a babyface authority figure or a heel? Because when it comes to Miz, he's being like a babyface and trying to take the Miz down. But then with Braun, he's kind of like talking back to him, talking almost condescending to him. So I don't know what Shane's role is right now with WWE.
Well, I think he's going to be a heel. He's going to do something to Braun because he's pissed off at Braun for some reason. I don't know. I haven't really watched every episode, right? You've been watching, but because I think they're doing Braun versus Shane McMahon at WrestleMania. So
that's what it looks like it's building towards ultimately. Which Braun better win that match. If he doesn't,
I'm sure.
Yeah, he has to.
Of course.
But by the way, I mean, like, Philip, what do you think about Braun's character? I just feel like it doesn't make sense. He's mad at Shane and Adam Pearce that he wasn't in the Elimination Chamber, but they clearly said it's former WWE champions. You're Universal Champion. Dude, you cannot be in this match.
Well, at first they said only former world champions.
Okay.
So then that, by them saying that, just like diminishes the Universal title even more. But that's a whole other topic. Yeah, I mean, I stopped caring about Braun a couple years ago, man. To be honest with you, like after like his fifth try trying to win the title, I'm like, okay, I guess it's just not gonna happen. Kind of like Bray, you know, like once it finally did happen, you're like, oh, okay, congratulations, you know. But like, I'm not a fan. He cut his hair, okay. He wears a shirt now, like
he looks like he's ready to go hunting.
Like he works in like a mine or something, you know, like.
He's like, he looks like he's ready. He's got those gloves on his pants, like he's gonna cut some wood.
I don't care. He's gonna have to do something like drastic for me to really care.
I mean, at this point, I don't know what can you do now. Like he's been with WWE on the main roster for over 5-6 years, so it's like, they should have made him champion a long time ago, not till last year. But I mean, that's a whole nother story with Braun's history.
That's true. That's another thing I wanted to mention here. So how long do you guys think it generally should take for somebody to reach like the top of the card? Because you look at like The Rock, it took like 2 years. You look at Stone Cold, he comes in as the ringmaster. Then 2 years later, he's WWE champion. Kurt Angle did it in less than 2 years. So, because like the new normal now, like you look at Big E, he's finally starting to get that little bit of momentum. He's the IC champ, but he's been on the roster for like 7 years.
Yeah, I think it all depends how hot people are getting, but then again, like WWE for a long time, they've kind of start people backwards before they go forwards with them. I don't know why, like they do that. A lot of cases. I mean, granted, they want people to get over. They want people to make money for them and stuff. But like, sometimes they just start. I always say it's almost like a horse getting ready to go on a race, and they shoot it in the leg, and he has to limp before it gets out the gates. Like they always beat a guy too soon. Back in the day, it was different. You start pushing the guy from the beginning and build him up. But I don't know. Big E at the time, maybe he didn't have what they thought he had then, but then through the New Day, he got his character over, got his personality over, and then the New Day thing took off. So now you don't want to break that up, right? Because that thing's selling merchandise. Now they had this long run, and they keep selling merchandise, so they're going to keep them together. And so finally, we're now it's time to do something different with these guys, and that's why he's probably getting this opportunity now. I think there's always different ways. Like Braun Strowman, he should have probably got the belt a lot sooner than he did. You can say that about a lot of people, actually. Like. Roman Reigns, I mean, they pulled the big trigger on him instead of holding it off, and so it's just weird.
It really is, I think, case by case situation. It's a different time that we live in now in the landscape with WWE, specifically with NXT and stuff. Just total side note. So I saw, the advertisement that Randy Orton's going to be on the next episode of Stone Cold Steve Austin's Broken Skull Sessions, and I was talking to a coworker the other day, and really, if you look at Randy Orton's story, especially the early years, that he was the youngest world champion, and put the rocket on him. I was telling my coworker, I don't think we'll ever see someone like that again, so young, be so successful, especially now with the infrastructure WWE has. As far as if you're a young aspiring wrestler, sure, if you're skillful and stuff, they'll probably start you out at the Performance Center and NXT, and you probably hypothetically spend a year or two there before you go up to the main roster. So, I mean, it's as far as someone being so young, being WWE champion, like Randy Orton, I don't know if it can happen again because of the NXT situation now into the fold.
Yeah, that's true. And, Randy walked in the door when he was like 19. So you have to look at that too. I mean, maybe an MJF, if he would have went over there, maybe he would have broken through. I don't know.
That's interesting. So with that being said, that's why I'm like thinking in my head, like the timeline of what it takes to be a champion, as you just brought up, Philip. So it's interesting with the timing of all this, and like when is it too little, too late? Like Braun, or can someone get it really young, like a Randy Orton? But is that possible now with the current landscape of WWE and how they use their talent now. But Bobby Lashley, look at him, 16, 17 years. I mean, obviously he was away for WWE for many years, went to TNA and all that stuff. So it's, like I said, I think it's case by case situation, and I think it's always an evolving situation with WWE. But
I just think that I would like to see WWE get over this, whatever they do when they get that from NXT, when they come into the main roster, like use that momentum from NXT to the main roster.
Oh yeah.
Instead of like
a
knocking
restart,
them down, start over again. You know, like that's what I hope they one day will just get over and just because like that's what NXT is all about. Like, hey, here you go. Here's Sanity. Here's this great group we've created for you. Now you can do something with them. No, we're gonna split them up and not even put them on TV, and now they're wasted, right? So
you brought up a good point there. Yeah, you brought up a good point as far as I would like to see NXT. I feel like that's like its own separate universe outside of Raw and SmackDown. So I would love that they combine all three. That everyone can coexist. Like what happens on NXT, that momentum will carry over those storylines, those histories, versus someone who's been on NXT for a long time. Then when they move up to Raw or SmackDown, it's like a whole new storyline, like their stories being told again. Like it's a fresh entry in the Wikipedia page. Oh, you know what I mean? It's just it's that's for me. It gets kind of a little frustrating. It's like they're starting completely over and reintroducing. And I know, granted, not everyone watches probably all three shows, but hypothetically, for the hardcore fans out there, I think they know Keith Lee, former NXT champion. It's like, okay, maybe he should be in line to get that mid-card title sooner rather than later, or be in the WWE Championship title scene. So that's a whole bigger issue, discussion point. But yeah, let's just talk about the main event here. So Bobby Lashley versus The Miz. The Lumberjacks were out there. Miz trying to jumps out and he's like begging for help. It was like, I think, trying to ask Mustafa Ali to work with him and like, I'll get you a WrestleMania match. I like how he's so desperate. He's like bartering with them. Very similar to probably what he did with MVP last weekend at Elimination Chamber. He's just so desperate. Right?
I like just before that, where before the bell rings, he gets on the mic like, listen, we can do this at WrestleMania. Like he's like that's his character. He's the weasel. He put a weasel out of anything he can. That's when people were pissed off when he won the title. It's like that. Or how could they do that? Because he's the perfect guy to weasel his way into that situation to go to Bobby Lashley, right? And they go back to Drew if they go that route. And just he was for these last couple weeks. He's been tremendous.
Yes, and that's the thing. So I totally agree with you, John. It was just like he fit the role that was needed for this storyline to get from Drew to Bobby Lashley, fresh start. And so, Miz, to his credit, he's a 2-time Grand Slam champion. It's on paper. I keep referring to that what's on paper in the record books. They can never take that away from the Miz. So at the end of the day, he's been a very loyal, long-term employee for WWE, works a very safe style. I know it's not the most interesting wrestling style, but nonetheless, he hasn't been hurt. Like, there's a lot of positives, I think, if you look on paper about the Miz, that I think a lot of people sometimes just try to focus on the negative. And, so with the Miz, I respect, what he's been able to do. But, Philip, what'd you think of how the match actually played out and just how dominant Bobby was?
It honestly should have been shorter. Like the theatrics were great from the Miz, but like he should have just like locked him in there as soon as he got his hands on him and won.
Really? You think so that quick? Just dominate him.
Yeah, and people are like, oh, it's only a week. Like, dude, Andre the Giant was champion for 45 seconds. Like, who cares?
Right, is that when he handed over to
Ted DiBiase?
Yeah. Like, who really gives a shit? You know what I mean? He had it, he won it, sure, but I do think the match should have been a lot shorter.
And like Miz grabbed the title belt, tried to hit him with it, like around that. Like that when I saw him go for the belt, I'm like, oh, I thought he was gonna turn around to a spear, but that didn't. But either way, I just love like after pleading to the Bobby Lashley to extend it out to WrestleMania, then he's gonna do this as well. Like, I mean, it's awesome character. Like, so he's fantastic. I love the whole presentation of it.
And plus, I like it was just a lumberjack match. I like a classic lumberjack match. WWE used to have a lot of lumberjack matches in the past, especially like in the mid '80s and that.
Yeah, and I mean,
now, what's happening at Fastlane? That's what I want to know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, and then that's the thing. It's like, okay, where do we go from here? I mean, I think SmackDown might be more because like either Raw or SmackDown sometimes more their superstars control a pay-per-view or not. Based on what's going on SmackDown, maybe SmackDown will have more be more the matches from SmackDown
It'd
roster.
be more SmackDown oriented.
Heavy, yeah. But I mean, if from a Raw standpoint, I mean, could Miz get a rematch possibly against Lashley?
That'd be hilarious if he like politics for a rematch because I'm the last guy. I'm the guy he beat, so I need to give an immediate rematch.
Yeah,
and Shane's like sure, but he's like, then I got screwed with your stipulations with this lumberjack match. I got screwed on that, and Shane's like, okay, cool. Let's have no one interfere. Let's do a cage match. You and Bobby Lashley.
I was thinking that.
No. And then like he just gets murdered in a cage.
Yes.
See him bleed. I want to see the Miz bleed. Cut up his beautiful face for TV.
Oh man, watch out! Poor Mrs. and Mrs. TV show. That's going to be all bandaged up. It's going to be.
That's an episode right there. He can work it into it. It could be like Maurice helps. Yeah, it's exactly. So, yeah, I mean, what could happen at Fastlane? Because it is the first pay-per-view under the Peacock umbrella, so I would think they probably want that to be a pretty stacked pay-per-view to get people to convert over. So, but with that being said, I mean, I would think Lashley would be involved in some capacity, maybe a triple threat, Miz, Lashley, and Drew, maybe as a possibility. I mean, there's some multiple ways, but obviously I think whatever's going to happen, nothing major is going to happen on that pay-per-view. I'm just kind of guessing because they're going to save it for WrestleMania.
You could probably do like Miz, Sheamus, Drew, winner gets Lashley at Mania.
Yeah. Yeah, that could be like a triple threat for number one contendership.
Yeah, and then like shock us and have like not Drew win it.
Yeah, I mean that's it. And then but then after that, I think they have 3 weeks to Mania. So the Fallout episode, another episode, then the Go Home show. So it's just I know it's 6 weeks away, but it's like WrestleMania is gonna be here before we know it. So it's gonna be a lot to talk about. But we've seen Bobby win though, was a great moment. MVP. I mean, I think Bobby broke character and looks super happy. Mm-hmm. Kissed the title, but then snapped back into big monster heelish work and was.
No, I mean that's how people should look. Like I remember when he won the Intercontinental title, he ran around the ring you just won a championship. You should react like that. I think more people should show you act like it actually means something. Like you actually give a damn.
And it was cool that, it's not too often we see a title change happen on Raw. Yeah. I kind of enjoy that aspect too. It's like, hey, you tune in to Raw, you never know what will happen. And then MVP looks super happy for him as well. And
and Shivani would say that'll put a lot of butts in the seats.
And then Philip, you and I were texting last night for MVP as far as, even a couple years ago when Kofi won, and there was that viral video of him and Shad Gaspard who were watching the match, and they were both crying and super happy for Kofi. So it's just cool seeing MVP from 2 years ago, watching Kofi from a distance, watch him win, and then 2 years later be in the ring or be a part of this story. So for MVP, it's just really amazing to see his involvement and just, like you said, what a year the Hurt Business has done. It's amazing. And let me ask you this though. So in the last couple of weeks, they were having some tension between Shelton Benjamin and Cedric. Is that gone now? Because it looks like they kind of dropped that storyline. Philip, you noticed that they haven't been really bickering at one another. It just seemed to just dropped out of nowhere. So are they trying to refocus Her Business? They're all on the same page again.
Yeah, probably MVP lit a fire under that ass. That's probably what happened, man. Look what we got. We just got Bobby to the world title. Let's all get serious. Hell, you know what? Put the U.S. title on MVP, man. Why not? Why not?
It's that's what I'm thinking. Is where can Her Business go?
I think Riddle would be nice in a little chase against Montel for the U.S. title.
How injured is he though? He has the cane. He's walking with the cane still. So
I could see him being in a match and still being injured and then whacking him with the cane and winning the title or something.
Speaking of Matt Riddle, you just brought bringing his name up. You can technically do a match at Fastlane between Bobby Lashley and Matt Riddle because Matt Riddle technically is the last guy to quote unquote beat him, even though he didn't pin him. He beat John Morrissey.
Yeah.
So he did beat him in a triple threat match. So you can kind of use that loophole to kind of have a match between Lashley and Bobby Riddle at Fastlane, and Lashley could retain.
Yeah, do something fresh real quick.
Yeah. I'm just wondering. Remember, Philip? In December when we were doing our predictions for 2021, I said my prediction was, John, I don't know if you heard this or not. My prediction was the Hurt Business is going to have all the gold in WWE or at least on Raw. But my prediction was Keith Lee was going to join in her business and become WWE champion, and Bobby would still have US championship. And so I don't know if it could still play out like that. Maybe Keith Lee could still join and then get the US championship off Riddle somehow. But then would Keith Lee go heel? I don't know. That's yet to be seen. So I wonder if that could happen.
Well, that's a possibility. You never know, man. But I mean, MVP, he's one of the best U.S. champs of all time. That was the era I grew up in, watching him and Matt Hardy feud over that thing. So yeah, you can put it on him. I mean, he brought the current design into the fold.
Yeah,
so it all makes sense real quick. But the Riddle Lashley thing, I think that could be a nice little match at Fastlane. Give him like 15 minutes, let him tear it up real quick.
Yeah,
that's I agree. So I think there's a reason for it. So yeah, and I like the idea for Keith Lee as a heel. Start him off, just kind of reboot him a little bit with that, then turn him babyface later and go from there.
Yeah. So just a couple things real quick about Raw we could touch on real quick. So let's see. I'm just looking at my notes here. So yeah, Philip, you brought about Brock Lesnar. You thought about that. Yeah, Braun and Shane. That's a whole nother issue. The one other big thing that I kind of took away from this Raw was Charlotte Flair and how she cuts this promo and she more or less declares herself wants to challenge Asuka for the Raw Championship and wants to do it at WrestleMania. And she, first started out, she's been really busy with dealing with her dad and Lacey Evans. And at first when she came back, she just wanted to be a tag partner with Asuka and let Asuka do her thing as Raw champion. But now that we are at WrestleMania, she realized she wants to have a title herself and challenge for it at WrestleMania. So, so John, what did you think as far as Charlotte just kind of out of nowhere just declaring herself to challenge Asuka? I mean, you and I were texting a little bit about this earlier as far as, unfortunately, with the Lacey Evans situation, the real life situation of her getting pregnant, I feel like this is kind of like a quick little restart for a change of plans for Charlotte here.
Yeah, exactly what it is. I think with Lacey Evans getting pregnant and that had to stop that storyline is, it gives her a nice restart for something to do. I think it's a good matchup for WrestleMania. Her and Asuka, they had a good match at WrestleMania a few years ago. So she beat Asuka, right? So what if Ric Flair showed up and cost her the WrestleMania match with Asuka? Goes with Asuka. You never know. I mean, I don't know. She did send her home, which I don't know. I don't think Ric Flair's going to really stand by that. I think he might get involved. So I think it's something to look out for.
I've been very vocal, Philip. You know how much I love Asuka. I want to see Asuka get back her win against Charlotte at WrestleMania. I was there in New Orleans. Tommy, you and I were both there 3 years ago. We watched Charlotte defeat Asuka. I was so heartbroken that night. So I want her to get revenge 3 years later.
That was the match of the
Rhea Ripley to get her revenge and win the title from
that too.
That's maybe a nice little triple threat ski.
Yeah,
possibly. I don't know. I mean, with Charlotte though, like they shouldn't have done all those like back and forth title switches with her and Sasha, because like if Charlotte wins, she's gonna win her 11th world title. And you like really think about it, like, and like which one was the most important one? You could think when she first won the title at 32, and that's about it.
Yeah,
because they all just kind of blend together, right?
It's like the Memphis territory from the 80s and 90s. Like this.
Yeah, like she's approaching Super Cena territory. You're like, damn, again?
She really has been booked strong in her return. Like, she's been well protected. She's been dominating against people. I mean, John, you and I were talking as well. Like, you were calling out some people. They were worried about Shayna with the unfortunate accident last week where she kicked Asuka in the face and those a couple teeth fell out. Which, by the way, okay, they showed the footage again. Were those CGI teeth falling out? Because the way those teeth were flying, I was like, that does not look real. Like, I want to get the real footage.
Face is pro wrestling. I said is not ballet. Shit does happen.
Yeah,
Shayna losing this week was no punishment to her. It's just they're restarting Charlotte. She gets a solid win over Shayna. Shayna's the tag team champion. Losing here to a singles match doesn't really hurt her that much. You know what I mean? So she's fine. Everything's fine. They're just restarting Charlotte. So
I think Shayna and Nia, they'll be on NXT this week, taking on Raquel and Dakota Kai. I imagine they're going to retain, and then I'm just predicting.
A quick little change. That's what I'm hoping.
Really?
Because I really like Raquel's momentum.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Dakota could lose, and that's fine, right?
Yeah.
But, maybe that'll happen. Maybe they do. But Raquel needs a shine because she has a big match at probably EO coming up in the future.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see Raquel do the big body slam on Nia. That's all I want to see. I think that would be an awesome spot. Like, I mean, not like pick her up, not like hip toss her like Lex Luger did. I mean, he body slammed her, but probably he would say it's a hip toss.
Yeah,
but
I remember that.
I want to see Raquel pick her up, hold her up, and slam her. That's what I want to see. So,
oh my God,
let's hope it happens tomorrow, guys. That's all.
Dude,
if it does happen, hit me up.
I'm gonna watch.
Dude, I cannot wait for that. It's gonna be interesting because so they got the women's tag title on NXT this week, and then
You got a non-title tag match between Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa against Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch.
that's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow too.
No, but I was just thinking for the women's, Tamina and Natty, they're being built up as a tag team as one, or they'll get a shot down the road. So
maybe
Like Naomi and Lana are gonna be the ones that beat them.
that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's one too. That's the one that makes sense because with the Shayna and Nia kind of, you know, I wouldn't say bullying them around, but, you know, kind of bossing them around and stuff as of late on Raw. And, you know, Nia put Lana through table, 9 out of 10 weeks on TV. So, still get her payback somehow. So I wonder if that's going to be the eventual storyline. But I'm with you. I wish they would drop the titles in NXT and let NXT have those women tag titles for a bit, just to be present on that show. And then, yeah, if they lose the titles, Dakota and Raquel, that can lead to the storyline of them breaking up eventually. I'm looking forward to seeing Dakota Kai and Shayna because, you know, they have some unfinished business from a couple years ago. So I'm looking forward to NXT this week. It's going to be really good. So, but no, Raw this week overall, I thought it was a lot of fun. And obviously, congrats once again to Bobby Lashley. And like you said, when he came back, he's had the goofy storyline with Sami Zayn, you know, the marriage stuff with Lana. Remember when he was in the ring for a bit when Leo was his manager, he kept pointing to his butt cheeks a lot. I mean, he's had a lot of goofy storylines. So for Bobby to be booked the way he is now, super happy for him. I cannot wait to see what's next for Bobby Lashley here. So a lot of good stuff. So speaking of NXT, let's go ahead and just power through some NXT stuff. So Tommy, I know you specifically were super excited about this new class of NXT signees. And John, you know, we were talking about it as well a little bit. So, I mean, this was their largest class of people coming to the Performance Center. I mean, Tommy, I know like the biggest name that you were super excited for was Bronson
Rex Steiner,
which is the son of
Rick Steiner
and nephew of Big Papa Pump,
Scott Steiner.
So there were some other big names as well. There was it Parker Bordeaux? I want to say Bordeaux because like Scarlett Bordeaux.
Yeah, it's just same name.
He's the one that looks like a baby Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, another.
I want to see what he's gonna do.
That's I want to see as well. And then, of course, there was Taya Valkyrie, who's also part of this group. Priscilla Kelly, who is the I guess soon to be ex-wife of Darby Allin. I mean, just paint a picture of connection there for anyone's interested.
She was already in the women's tournament.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then let's see. Oh, I was going to say LA Knight or Eli Drake. He's also part of this group, but he's already on TV doing promos for NXT. So
yeah, he doesn't need to, work.
I guess it's just anyone that's new with the program there. But Tommy, who's the other one that you were super excited for? As well?
The guy I'm thinking highly of is Drew Casper. He was an amateur wrestler. I think he wrestled at Oberton University. Oberbean University. But I was watching one of his matches as an amateur on YouTube. He looked really good, I thought. And he's about listed at 5'11", 280 or whatever. I could think he could be like another Otis.
He could start doing the worm in the ring as well.
Possibly.
Yeah. So no, and they got a lot of people here coming up on NXT. So, I mean, John, obviously, with your connections of people down at NXT and stuff, do you know for them, like, what's like the process when someone gets signed with NXT? I mean, they start working at the Performance Center. Is there a timeline where they can start doing TV stuff at that point? Do you know?
I think it all depends how far they advance.
Okay.
Like on the independent scene are a little quicker than the football players or the amateur wrestlers that kind of start out because they still got to learn how to work. They still got to learn all the fundamentals and
promos.
Some guys get it faster than others. Some guys get faster than the actual indie wrestlers right in there.
Yeah.
So I'm excited too about Bronson Steiner. I'm going to say Bronson Steiner.
It's Bronson Steiner.
Through the grapevine that he did really well at his tryout, and I heard that that he looked like Scott, talked like Rick, and had a big personality. So he seems like a natural.
Awesome.
Oh yeah.
I'm very excited. I think he might, if all goes well, I think he'll be there sooner than later.
Great.
Not like anytime like within 6 months, but you never know. See how fast.
But there's a match of his that's on YouTube. Apparently, it was his pro debut match. It was at an indie show somewhere in Tennessee, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I thought he looked really good. And, he granted he needs a lot of polishing, but I like his look, and I think he's going to do well.
And Scott came out with him, right?
And Scott Steiner
and
did come out
the
with
alarm.
him.
Woo!
Yeah.
So I wonder how long he's going to bleach his hair and say.
And that Parker Bordeaux, he has a great look. He has a great look.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just see if he has a head for it. That's the key, man. The key is to have the head for it, right?
Yeah.
And like that's a lot of people could just want to do it, but people really got to have that passion. Those people, I think, those are the people that really succeed.
Yeah. No, I hear you. And so it's going to be. I'm looking forward to this. There's a lot. I mean, it's just amazing. WWE, they just keep adding more bodies to the fold, and it's so much talent that's in that place. It's insane, but a good insane. It's just
when things open up again, the NXT brand, the main brand, goes on tour of the United States. While there's that coconut loop that it might be NXT Evolve as well. Like that happens. There's more people coming back and forth between NXT UK. Maybe NXT Japan. You never know. Could be opening up. Like there's a lot of stuff they have plans for. It's pretty insane.
Yeah, I mean, there was also talk of like NXT and stuff in Mexico. I remember there was a rumor for that. I mean, there's the NXT brand. I know they're trying to expand that in other markets and stuff. So I'm excited. Well, speaking of NXT and NXT Evolve, I would imagine, we talked about that show last week, and hopefully a lot of these faces could be on that show to start out with in the near future whenever that show does get going.
And plus, I forgot to mention that Bronson also does have an amateur wrestling background too.
Yeah, and he played football as well, college football as well. So
it's in his blood, so I think his dad will smarten him up. His brother, his uncle, will smarten him up. Like he knows wrestling. He knows pro wrestling, what it is. So he has a little bit of a head start on all these guys.
And I mean, I grew up loving the Steiner brothers as well.
Oh yeah,
they're awesome. Well, speaking of NXT, so this was kind of breaking news early this morning, early afternoon. So it was the Mat Men Pro Wrestling Podcast tweeted out something that all the news sites were picking up on. So they tweeted out earlier today, hearing from a very reliable source, that NXT will be moving to Tuesday starting April 13th. Should be announced fairly soon. That's all they tweeted out. Everyone's running with it. So if that's, let's see, April 13th is correct. That's the first Tuesday after WrestleMania this year. And that's something I think we talked about at one point or another on this podcast, just the possibilities of them moving. I could see that happening for multiple reasons. One, keep in mind, NBC Sports Network is going to be shutting down into this year. So hockey, NASCAR is going to have to find new homes. And I think it's going to be probably moved to USA Network. I think hockey is on Wednesday nights. So if it goes to Wednesday nights on USA Network, NXT would theoretically have to move somewhere else. Tuesdays make sense if that's open. And then I'm thinking, okay, if Wednesday's open, maybe NXT Evolve can be the Wednesday night show on Peacock through the WWE Network.
Yeah.
You got Thursdays with NXT UK. So I'm just thinking every day in the week, WWE's going to have some new show. Like, it's going to be so much. I mean, I think, John, you and I were joking last week. There's so much to keep track of already. Raw, NXT, NXT Evolve, NXT UK, SmackDown, pay-per-views on the weekend. I can't keep track of it all already. So, but yeah, John, your thoughts on just seeing NXT potentially move to Tuesdays?
I mean, if USA is going to put the NHL on over them, I mean, it makes sense. It's one of the biggest sports in the world, right? So, I mean, it's going to, at least it'll stop all the rating nonsense, or maybe it won't. Maybe that will keep going. The big war that no one's breaking $1 million at, like it's just,
yeah.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, you probably good point, because remember when they did those 2 Super Tuesdays, NXT did great. It was 900-something thousand. So it's like, it makes only sense for them to go to Tuesdays.
Yeah.
And that way it's less competition. I mean, there's a lot of speculation that Vince wants to keep NXT on Wednesdays just to prevent AEW from breaking $1 million. So regardless of them maybe having their own dedicated night and really thriving. They rather just be there just to C block AEW from succeeding. But for me, I'm like, well, put them on Tuesdays, let them thrive. I'm sure USA Network would be like, we're paying you how much for this show, and it's still like only getting like 600 something thousand a week,
and they'll crush Impact.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Impact, where's Impact goes? Impact go to Thursdays. Poor Impact, they're just gonna bounce around.
What are they gonna do?
Who? Exactly. That's Phil. So, I'm just like, I mean, but that's the thing. It's like, poor Impact. Like, I think there are some Impact sympathizers online are like, what the hell's going to happen to Impact Wrestling, man? That's no fair. They just keep bouncing around. They tried to do their own Monday Night War years ago.
Oh, yeah.
That didn't do anything. So, yeah, they're just always floating on different nights. So it's nothing new. But,
and different networks.
So, Philip, will this affect your TV watching schedule? Having to watch NXT potentially on a Tuesday now?
I only watch NXT when I'm really interested in something. Like, hey man, when they were on the network for a while, I just watched the takeovers. I didn't watch the week to week for a little bit.
Okay.
But hey man, like I'm interested. I'm interested to see how that first show does on the Tuesday. And the quote unquote war is over. That like John said, nobody broke a middle at.
No, God.
So I'm interested to see like if AEW does like the same amount of views like that first Wednesday they have it to themselves, and like, okay, then they really didn't have anything to worry about to begin with.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If NXT Evolve really becomes a thing, I could see them putting it on Wednesday, and then theoretically that could be another NXT show to kind of maybe take some viewers away from AEW. But that's such like a more minor, very green performers versus AEW is the more established brand at that point.
Plus, when someone's on the network, you can always go back.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. That as well. So it's, you tune in and just watch it whenever. And so it's going to be so much to keep track of. Well, speaking of NXT, specifically NXT UK, I've been trying to play catch up. I've been telling you guys, I've been trying to watch as many episodes as I can to catch up because there was a while I just slipped and I wasn't watching every week. So I've been catching up. Last week I saw Walter versus A-Kid finally. Amazing match.
That was fun.
This week's episode, or I should say last week's episode of NXT UK, I finally watched. I took Tommy and John's recommendation to watch this show. And it was a lot of fun. It was stacked. It was 4 matches, but John and for Tommy, it was kind of a little bit of a shocking episode. We finally saw a title change happen.
Yeah.
We haven't seen major title changes happen yet on NXT UK's rebirth, if you want to call it that. I think personally they're probably saving any major title changes for whatever their next takeover is. But of all the titles that they had, it made sense maybe for the tag titles to happen on the regular episode here.
Yeah.
But yeah, John, what'd you think of this main event here of Gallus taking on Pretty Deadly?
I thought it was really good. I like the pacing of it. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't a bunch of moves that were everything had meaning to it. Everything had a consequence to it. Pretty Deadly's a really good, underrated young team. I think before the pandemic, before there was that big break, they were going to start getting their push. But then of course, they had to take time off. They came back in September. And since September, they haven't lost a match. They've been on losing end of a 6-man, but that was another guy lost that match for not them.
Okay.
But they've been being built up, and they're really, really talented. And the reason why I contacted you, one of the reasons I wanted to talk about NXT UK is, one, because they have a great episode coming up on Thursday that people I think should make their way to watch. But then I saw this post on Twitter, and this person mentioned, like, who's watching NXT UK? They got to get their head checked. Let me tell you something, you little punk. Let me tell you something right now. I'm a pro wrestling fan. And NXT UK puts on an hour of good pro wrestling. And as a pro wrestling fan, that's why I watch it, because it's damn good pro wrestling, because pro wrestling fans watch it, all right? And I think more people should watch it. I know there's so much content out there, but if people want great matches, no nonsense, this is the brand for you, So I really, it's only an hour, So yeah, that's why I watch it, you doofball. I want to say more. I forget if I can cuss or not on this. I forgot.
You can cuss, yeah.
Go for it.
Piece of shit.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh my god! I think I should isolate that. John cutting a promo. I should isolate that and put it on social media. Why should listen?
It's not my best stuff. I was trying to be clean, but
no. It's like this is why you should listen to In The Kliq, because you get hot takes from John LaRocca here.
You were kind of channeling your Jim Cornette right there.
No, but I'm with you. Well, no, I'm like. Yeah, no, I agree with your preaching, John, as far as NXT UK. Like, I'll be honest, in its initial, debut when it happened, before the pandemic, I wasn't watching as regularly. I would watch takeovers. I love the takeovers. I mean,
yeah, the great takeover match they had 2 years ago between Walter and Tyler Bate.
Yeah, and then when Finn made an appearance, Cesaro made an appearance. Like, I watched all those takeovers. I loved them, but I just didn't have time to watch NXT UK. And I was like, I don't know if I should jump in now. I'll be so behind or confused. But then when the pandemic happened, one silver lining, when they announced that they were coming back in, was it October? I was like, you know what? I should tune in now. This is a fresh start. They're going to have to get their momentum going again, new storyline, start over. I was like, perfect. This is me to start tuning in. And I've been watching it, it was October, November, December. Like I said, I got sidetracked. But last couple weeks I've been trying to catch up, and I'm almost completely caught up. I did watch last week's episode. But yeah, I what you said, John, it's really great pro wrestling there. And listen, I know WWE can't. There's so many critics about WWE for various reasons.
Yeah,
as far as what happens on Raw, SmackDown, NXT, but NXT UK, it's probably maybe their best just pro wrestling show. And so yeah, I agree with you, John.
Yeah,
and this week's episode is pretty stacked. I mean, the main event alone is worth it. It's going to be the best, maybe not even the best women's match of the week, but maybe the best wrestling match of the week, with Kaylee Ray defending her title against Miyako Satomura. Like, that's going to be a tremendous matchup.
I'm ready for that match.
I can't wait for that.
It's crazy because our boy Richard posted a photo on his Instagram, Pro Wrestling 101 on Instagram, a photo of her from Nitro back in the day. I was like, oh my god, I remember watching that like in middle school. I was like, geez, so to see her, do you know, if I remember, she's not only a performer, but she's also like one of the trainers as well now for their performance center over there.
Player coach. Yeah, she's going to be doing the training, which is going to be great for those girls. They have a lot of good women talent on that. Ginny's really good.
Oh yeah, I like her.
Valkyrie.
Ava Valkyrie.
Yeah, Eva Valkyrie. Yeah, she's really good. She's going to benefit greatly. All the women will. Xia Brookside too has a lot of potential.
Oh yeah,
so, yeah. It's that division should really pick up steam. And Kaylee Ray right now, I mean, she's like the forgotten best wrestler in the world when it comes to women wrestling. Like, she is tremendous. That War Games they had a couple years ago with the women,
yeah,
the first War Games with Rhea and all them in it. Like, she was the MVP of that match. Like, she was all over the place and keeping it together. She's tremendous.
And who's the one French wrestler? The woman, is it Emile?
Emile, yeah.
I like her.
She's talented. Yeah, she's talented.
Because I watched a couple of matches in WXW.
Yeah.
That's on the network.
They're getting a lot. They're signing a lot of people up there. Like that, NXT UK is not going anywhere. So it's they keep signing more and more talent. Ben Carter, Shaw Samuels. I mean, I would put I'm talking about in-ring product, their roster against any roster. That's how talented. They really got the best of the best. And another great match. Sorry to jump in there too much here, but another big match is Ilya Dragunov versus Sam Gradwell is going to be on this week's episode.
Oh,
that
yeah.
Pretty freaking awesome. Ilya Dragunov is amazing. And Sam Gradwell, man, I've been, as a booker, as a promoter, like, there's just something about that guy. In my bones, I feel this guy's going to be a superstar. And I don't want to put too much, like, on him, but, like, I think rattlesnake levels. That's how I think this guy could be if they let him loose. Like, he has a big personality, great look, great wrestler, as all those British guys are, all the UK guys are.
Yeah,
I think he could be that. Well, he calls himself the Thunderstorm. He could be that Thunderstorm.
You're talking about that rattlesnake, right?
That potential. I feel like
Stone Cold rattlesnake.
I mean, I think he can. I think people could gravitate to him, and he's pretty tremendous.
Yeah,
man.
And that's a big thing to say, but I'm going to say it here, right on podcasts out in the world. I'm going to say Sam Gradwell has the potential to be a Stone Cold Steve Austin in the future.
Wow. Philip, what were you going to say?
Speaking of letting people loose, Joe Coffey, he had a match against, I think Pete Dunne was the UK champion at the time at one of those takeovers. I want to see him dethrone Walter.
Really?
Yeah,
Coffey?
Yeah, he's like, what is he like? He's like 5'11", he's like 240. Like, he has a nice look to him. He has a nice build. I think it'd be dope, man.
I love Gallus. That whole group is a tremendous stable. And Joe Coffey is tremendous. Him and Walter had a really good matchup on NXT TakeOver, like early in the year? I think it was earlier 2020.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember how long ago. It seems like forever now, but
I know. But
I also like.
No, I was going to say real quick. I mean, is Isaiah Brookside.
Yeah.
This week was funny. She defeated Nina
Samuels.
And so now Nina has to carry her bags. I thought that was a funny little obligation or stipulation for.
That match last week wasn't the strongest of the matches, but it serves purposes. But they also had great vignettes. They have a great story of Trent Sevens losing weight, looking shredded.
Yeah.
Getting the 205 to wrestle Jordan Devlin, who's tremendous. And, then you also got that Lucky Kid debuting, and that vignette, what a unique vignette that he had.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, like, the drone shot of Trent, when he's on top of the mountain, looks like, in the drone camera.
Amazing.
I was like, wow, that is awesome. But, it was great. But, one thing from this episode that all of us were talking for the last few days was Tyler Bates' match against
William Regal's son, Bailey Matthews.
And what a great match here.
It was just a perfect catch-as-catch-can style of match. It was great grappling, and I enjoyed the gut-wrench suplex that Bailey Matthews put on Tyler Bates, so it was tremendous.
Yeah, John, what'd you think of Bailey's, I guess technically, debut with NXT UK?
He's fundamentally sound. I think he wore black tights and black boots, almost like that young boy look, the New Japan you see, like the guys wear.
Yeah.
He cut a promo, like I saw his promo on the website or
I saw it too.
Yeah.
Very humble, young kid promo. And I mean, when I saw him, like, okay, he doesn't have much of a personality, but he could be just playing that, like, I'm just a humble young kid at this point. I would love to see him, of course, if he does have a personality, I want to see it come out. But that's something in the future. But I thought he looked good against Tyler Bate. Of course, he is wrestling Tyler Bate, who's one of the best, in my opinion, of the world. Like, so they had a really good match. Yeah, I'm glad you guys liked it too. I think he's going to be a good one. He's going to be going for sure.
It's like I said, my thing is, listen, if you have your if you're just a WWE fan or wrestling fan in general, and you have your issues with Raw or SmackDown, which is understandable, I get it. But, if you like NXT style of wrestling or just that presentation, by all means, watch NXT UK, support that, watch it when you can. It's on the network, so if you can't watch it live in real time on a Thursday, watch it on the weekend like what I do.
And to be honest with you, I watch just NXT Prime and NXT UK. That's the real wrestling I like to watch.
So it's saying NXT Prime now. That's the first time I've heard that.
That's what we've been saying. That's how I
call it NXT Prime.
Yeah, that's how we separate it. Because, the NXT brand is expanding under different umbrellas, like NXT, and then which version this is. So NXT Evolve, NXT UK, and then there was rumors of NXT Japan. Like, wasn't Triple H was trying to buy Noah back in the day, whatever it was, and I know they were trying to do stuff in Mexico, like I said earlier. So the NXT brand, is expanding. So it's so much fun.
And is Walter showing up on NXT Prime soon? The way they've been teasing.
So that's the thing. Imperium, the rest of them are hanging out on NXT. Even Tommy, this week you're telling me Wolf, ran into
his old stable buddy, in
Sanity.
Killing
Dane. He's like, what'd you say? What's this? What
is this? Like, you hear his thick German accent. He's like, you used to be a monster,
So that's I would love to see Walter come over to NXT. Him and Finn were supposed to have something before the pandemic started. I would love for them to settle that finally. I think it should be on the WrestleMania stage because they got 2 nights to fill. Put on one of the nights at WrestleMania, but now there's reports, I think, today actually, that a rumor is NXT is not going to be involved in WrestleMania. I'm like, damn it. But then again, hopefully maybe that means there's going to be a separate takeover around that time period. So okay, maybe that's the compromise. So, but yeah, no, I want to see Walter. I mean, I really listen. I know Walter is very, UK proud where he's from and like staying over there. And I think he's been pretty vocal. Like he just wants to stay there. I would love to see him move over to maybe NXT and, someday, maybe get the Raw or SmackDown, really be on that big stage because he's such a great performer. So I mean, I don't know, John, do you think Walter would ever reach his full potential under the WWE umbrella?
Well, as the $1 Million Man would say, everyone has the price, so maybe one day they can offer him enough to, make that jump. But
come on, Vince.
If he stays on NXT UK, I'm still as happy as could be because he's tremendous. I mean, my dad, who to this day still laughs at wrestling, or when I had him watch Walter versus Ilya Dragunov with me, and he was like really into it. He's like, "Oh man, wrestling's a lot different now. It looks more real." I'm like, "Yeah, you're young. You're watching this, You're
Yeah.
I don't want to show you what else is going on out there in the world today."
Yeah. Our dad is like, hey, this isn't like the days of Pepper Gomez and Bobo Brazil,
No, it's good. So no, I love it. And we'll love to see Walter just keep dominating. And who will actually dethrone him one day, that's yet to be seen. So we'll see how that goes. So
can I throw something out quick to the Kliqsters out there? Can I send something out quick to you guys? Who wins? Who wins? Shaq and Jade versus Cody and Cake. Who wins?
Tomorrow on Dynamite?
Yeah.
Philip, what are you thinking?
Bro, the fact that all this is even happening, dude, like I'm still trying to process it. Like,
did you hear the rumor?
Big Show getting involved somehow?
That Cody's shoulder's still messed up and you won't be able to do it in the Big Show?
Yeah. No, I heard the rumor. I mean, that Cody is still pretty hurt. And obviously the time of Paul White's debut on Dynamite's the same night Shaq's in person. So finally get that match, 10 plus years in the making. So,
Might be a better match technically for Shaq. So
better matchup here. And actually, look, we got surprised. Our dad's walking in the room right now.
There's a cameo from our pops right here.
Dad's walking in.
And I agree with you about Pepper Gomez and Ray Stevens. And Bobo.
Pepper Gomez. Who else, Dad?
Ray Stevens, Pepper Gomez, Bobo Brazil.
Yeah.
Ernie Big Cat Lad.
There you go.
Pat Patterson, all the greats. Rocky Johnson, all the greats.
Ray Stevens, all of them.
Exactly. All of Dad's pride.
Wait. So we're getting Shaq versus shows? Is that?
No. So tomorrow tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is Shaq and Jade versus Cody and Black
Red Velvet.
Red Velvet.
Yes. I remember that because I had that cake the other day.
So no, I think. If Cody's still hurt, actually he has that media call tomorrow, right? Cody Rhodes does.
Really? There you go.
Philip, are you doing that, Philip? I know I'm asking right on the spot. Are you doing that media call?
I got to check my email to see if I got that. But
maybe I'll forward it to you if you can.
Please do. I'm down to see Shaq versus Captain Insano.
No, I listen. I think that's how maybe they'll get out of the situation. Cody's hurt. Maybe he does like a bump or something, but maybe, I don't know, Big Show fills in or he can run in, interfere.
If he is banged up, I don't know why he's doing a ladder match at the pay-per-view. So.
Oh yeah, that too.
Yeah, that's kind of scary for a bad shoulder going into a ladder match. So,
Interesting. Okay, so a lot to think about. So tomorrow night's gonna be so much fun with NXT and AEW Dynamite, and I guess on that note, let's start wrapping things up. I realize we're kind of running long already, and I know some other topics, but we would save that for another time. But speaking of AEW, NXT, John, you like to break down each show every week, so please tell all the Kliqsters where they can find you online and listen to your other shows.
You can find me on Twitter at LaRoccaJL, and also you can follow our Twitter account at Fight Game Media, and check out our Fight Game Media Patreon page. We have a lot of great shows, and of course on our free page on the Blue Wire Network, Gary Gonzalez and I will be breaking down our likes and dislikes of NXT and AEW as we do every week. So hope you guys give us a listen.
by the way, congrats to Blue Wire Network. Saw the big deal. They're expanding their partnership with Wynn Resorts in Las Vegas. Gonna have
I texted Garrett right away. So when are we going to Vegas and when are we going to record in that studio? You know?
Yeah, that's awesome that they're going to build a podcasting studio inside, I guess, the lobby of the Wynn Hotel. And that way they can do a lot of the Spets betting podcasts and kind of build up that brand under the Blue Wire Network and bring in a lot of national talent, people coming through Las Vegas and have a lot of in-person stuff. So I think that's awesome. So kudos.
I gotta see, do I get a Blue Wire discount when at the Wynn? I got all these details have to be talked about.
Maybe that's what, like I said, congrats, like I said, to my former coworker, Kevin Jones, who's been just on fire with all this stuff. So, maybe when things are better and back to normal, we should do a trip to Vegas and do Hangover style. Maybe Philip, we'll define. I was gonna say, Philip, we're gonna go on a journey. John's gonna get lost, and we gotta find him for the next 24 hours.
I'll just be doing podcasting at the Wynn. That's
we're gonna go to Mike Tyson's house and find a tiger and all that stuff. It's gonna be so much fun. Philip, where can the Kliqsters find you online?
Well, you can find me on Twitter or Instagram at Heel Antwine, HeelAntwine. The Bulletcast on Instagram. The Bulletcast is the YouTube page, and also Bulletcast on Twitter. Man, I guess that's it. I will talk to Huey to recap Shaq versus potentially Captain Insano, and give predictions for the pay-per-view this coming. Well, it's Sunday today, this week time, right?
Yeah. Yep, and you got Complex Conversations as well, your other podcast.
I dropped an interview with my my head wrestling coach. Yeah, go follow that, COMPLEXX Conversations on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
Don't you have another interview coming up as well for Bulletcast?
Yes, I just interviewed earlier today the hybrid athlete Tyson Maddox. He's out there in Atlanta. He's been on AEW Dynamite once before, so he's starting to make some moves, and hopefully we can see some big stuff from him coming in the next couple of years.
Awesome. Hey, Philip, do me a big favor. Just polish up the Bulletcast Championship because it's coming back home to me this Sunday.
I don't know, man. I got hit up by Lashley, man. He wants to hang out with the titles together. So we'll take it'll be like Kevin Owens and Adam Cole when they took that photo.
Oh yeah, in the hotel
the Universal title and the Ring of Honor title.
That would be awesome. Good stuff. Tommy, where can the Kliqsters find you online?
If you want to talk pro wrestling, boxing, San Francisco Giants baseball, you can reach me on Twitter and Instagram at IronFist1982.
And I'm Baby Huey. Of course, follow me on Facebook at Baby Huey Official, Twitter and Instagram at Baby Huey83. For everything else, In The Kliq on your favorite podcast platform, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, intthekliq@gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram as well. Get the merch from our Teespring store. You can find that by clicking the link in the bio on our social media handles. So much fun, guys. Thank you so much. This was a very epic episode. A lot of fun. I just love, like it's all of us sitting just in a room by way of Zoom, just shooting the ass, talking pro wrestling. That's why we do this podcast. So thank you to all the Kliqsters for listening. We'll be back with another fun episode in the coming days. Philip, as you said, Dynamite and a lot of other stuff coming up this weekend as well. Another big week in pro wrestling. We got to talk New Japan stuff in the near future as well. A lot of stuff happened over there. So much to keep track of. Like I said, this podcast has been expanding. So thank you once again for tuning in. And on that note, let's go home, and that's the bottom line because Huey said so.